Welcome to the GameRamble video review for Nelly Cootaloot Spoonbeaks Ahoy HD, narrated by me, Darkcloud. As always, the full text version of this review can be found on the GameRamble website linked below. The TLDR is whether you've already played the Foul Fleet or fondly remember Nelly Cootaloot from the freeware version, you definitely don't want to miss out on this HD revival of Spoonbeaks Ahoy. It's a charming point-and-click adventure with a wonderful protagonist and a cast of interesting characters. The humor is still great, and while the game is very short, it's also very cheap, so there's no reason to miss out if you're a fan of the genre. Gameplay receives an 8 out of 10. The game is short, but amusing and entertaining. Graphics receives an 8 out of 10. The HD upgrade looks good, but the visuals are still very simple. Sound receives an 8 out of 10. The soundtrack is decent, and the voice acting is much better than what we expected. The overall score for Nelly Cootaloot Spoonbeaks Ahoy HD is 8 out of 10. Now for the full review. A few years ago we were introduced to Nelly Cootaloot, the greatest point-and-click adventure pirate protagonist since Guybrush Threepwood. She starred in an adventure, The Foul Fleet, which charmed us with its laugh-out-loud humor and memorable characters. However, The Foul Fleet was not actually the debut for the feisty pirate lass, as that honor belongs to Spoonbeaks Ahoy, a free AGS title released way back in the dawn of time, i.e. 2007. The name should be a dead giveaway, but Nelly Cootaloot Spoonbeaks Ahoy HD is a shiny new HD revival of the classic, which retains all of the humor but makes things a little easier on the eyes. The adventure begins with Nelly snoozing on her pirate ship, only to be woken up by the ghost of Blackbeard the pirate. He instructs Nelly to set sail for the barony of Meath, where the population of birds called spoonbeaks appear to have vanished. Since Nelly is not just a fearsome pirate, but also a lover of tiny and adorable creatures, she immediately heads to the island. Upon arrival, Nelly quickly discovers that all the Spoonbeaks are indeed nowhere to be found, and that the island is being run by Baron Widebeard, a dodgy character with an ego that's almost as big as his beard. The island is also home to a host of other colourful characters, but Nelly has her work cut out for her to get them to take her seriously and help with her quest. What follows is a traditional point-and-click adventure where you try and get your grubby hands on everything that looks vaguely useful, whether it takes begging, bartering or burglary. Throughout her adventure, Nelly will have to convince a fellow pirate that she's indeed a swashbuckler herself, procure the underwear of the plus-size baroness, wear a dashing disguise to fool some old ladies, and much more. Apart from the occasional obscure puzzle, all of the obstacles in the game are relatively easy to overcome if you pay attention and think logically. Unfortunately, the game is also relatively short and linear, which is understandable considering its roots. Seeing as the game was originally free and can be completed in a single sitting, some players might wonder why it now has a price tag on Steam. Firstly, the price tag is low enough to scrounge enough coins from behind the sofa cushions to afford it. Secondly, all of the revenue from the first year of sales went to a British charity specializing in caring for birds. If these are not good enough reasons, there are some actual improvements to the game as well. The visuals are now obviously in HD, which in conjunction with the widescreen support means it looks much better than the tiny square original. The fact that the game is now in HD doesn't mean it has more detail or colors, but the improvements over the original are obvious. Another improvement is the interface, which has now been streamlined. One of the newest additions that is pretty much worth the price of admission alone is the inclusion of voiceovers for the characters. However, while Nelly is voiced by the same charming actress who wrote her lines in The Foul Fleet, all of the remaining characters are voiced by the creator of the game, Alistair Beckett King. The game opens with a video from Alistair apologizing about this and reminding players that they can turn off the voice acting, but we advise against that. Spoonbeaks Ahoy doesn't have a lot of different characters, but we think that Alistair did a phenomenal job voicing them, and some of the accents are downright hilarious. It definitely adds more charm to the game, and since he's the one who wrote the dialogue, he knows exactly how to deliver the lines. Nelly sounds as great as she did in The Foul Fleet, and her impersonation of an Italian daredevil had us laughing out loud. The soundtrack for Spoonbeaks Ahoy HD is also really good, and overall we were impressed with the audio. As we mentioned earlier, the interface for Spoonbeaks Ahoy has been streamlined, so you can now left click on objects to interact with them or right click to examine them. There aren't many locations or items, but if you do get stuck, clicking the hint button will reveal all available hotspots on the screen. The game features a map that allows you to travel between the various locations instantly, but most of your time in the game will be spent in sarcastic conversation with the locals. Fortunately, most of the dialogue is really funny, especially if you can appreciate a good pun or two. Considering the game's age, some of the jokes are a little dated at this point, such as references to the Da Vinci Code and Vin Diesel, but this just adds to the game's charm. From a technical standpoint, the only issue we had with Spoonbeaks Ahoy HD is that it really did not like us tabbing out to windows while playing in full screen. Doing so resulted in the last music note in the game constantly looping until we tabbed back. This didn't prove to be too much of an issue though, and the game is short enough to complete in a single sitting. Playing the game in windowed mode eliminates the problem and allows you to check your email between puzzles without getting your ears assaulted. Overall, we really enjoyed SPOONBEAKS AHOY HD, and it had us laughing out loud on numerous occasions. It's also pretty neat to see the game feature many of the characters we encountered in the Foul Fleet. There's no need to play this game before the Foul Fleet if you have yet to experience the latter, but we still recommend doing so, as it will help you understand some of the characters better. Even if you have already played and completed the Foul Fleet, this game is still worth checking out due to the low price tag and the fact that it features the same type of brilliant humor. It was definitely great to experience where it all began for Nelly Cootaloot, and hopefully it's not the last we've seen of her. Thanks for joining me for this Nelly Cootaloot SPOONBEAKS AHOY HD PC review. Remember to like, subscribe and share. Until next time.
Avast behind! What was that? Nothing.